I've been teaching this online class for the University of Dubuque called Judeo-Christian Journey. It's an introductory course in the Bible and in the traditions of the people of God. And really, because it happens so quickly, it's done in 8 weeks, we really only have time to hit the high points. So we hit creation and Abraham and Moses, Jesus, the early church, right? One of the things that we cover is the Ten Commandments. And the students were assigned to read Exodus 20, and then they were asked to comment on the mandates in the Ten Commandments. Did they agree with them? Did they live by them? Are they still relevant today? And in these comments, I found two major viewpoints. The first viewpoint was that the Ten Commandments were rules that must be followed. They're very important for people to live with each other. Especially the last few, right? Don't kill, don't steal, don't commit adultery. Every one of them that answered this way said, I follow those rules to the letter. Well, except for the fourth one. I got a lot of feedback on the fourth one. They just didn't see that keeping the Sabbath was possible anymore. They had to catch up on Sunday. And being non-traditional students who have jobs and families, I've noticed that Sunday's the day that they turn in all of their assignments. And so, the other ones they follow very closely. But that one, the one that has like the most words written around it, is the one that they don't follow. But those others they do because it's in the Bible. The second viewpoint is that the Ten Commandments are rules that are meant to help people live together well, but not rules that have severe consequences if broken. And these students see the fourth commandment as a guideline. You should do things on Sunday that give you life. Don't do things that feel like work. So you can work in the garden if it makes you happy. You can ride your bike if it gives you joy. What some people consider work, others consider fun. And so it's up to the person if they're following the rule or not. There's some leeway here, they think. So you've got two groups. You've got people who are strict followers, and you have people who are loose followers. And I think that in many ways the groups are different because of their motivation for why they should follow them. The first group is worried about the consequences, the punishment that comes with breaking the rules. And the second group is worried about the ways it affects their life and the life of those around them. Less about punishment and more about quality of life. So which one are you? Are you worried about consequences being like punishment for you? Or are you worried about well-being and the consequences of relationships if you don't follow them? So which one are you? Let's see. Okay. You get in the car and you're headed toward Des Moines, and you're going to have lunch at your favorite place. Are you thinking about that place right now? If it's me, I'm headed to Bubba's downtown for some fried chicken. Okay. If you get on it, you're on 80, and you push the go pedal and you set the cruise. Are you with me? All right, now look down at your speedometer. How fast are you going? The speed limit is 70, right? Are you going 70? Does your speedometer say 70? 75? 80? Higher? So maybe you're someone that says, the law is 70, I'm going to go 70. The law says 70 for a reason, right? People thought this out, and they set it at 70, I'm going to trust the lawmakers and go 70. Maybe you're someone that says, yeah, the law is 70, but they don't really mean 70, right? Because nobody gets pulled over for 75. They only set the speed limit at 70 so people won't go more than 75 or even 80, right? That's what it's there for. And nobody goes that speed anyway, besides everybody's like passing me even when I do over the speed limit, right? Which one are you? The law is the rule or the cultural practice is the rule. It makes a difference in how people interpret these sacred laws. There were people who took these laws very seriously. They read verses 4 and 5 and they felt like they were in serious trouble if they broke the rules. Listen again to these two verses. This is God talking. I punish children for their parents' sins, even to the third and fourth generations of those who hate me. But I'm loyal and gracious to the 1,000th generation of those who love me and keep my commandments. Well, which one do you want? Punishment for your grandkids for something you did? Or blessings for all your descendants for the things that you do? Blessings, right? You want blessings. And so people spent their entire lives trying to figure out how to adhere to these rules without fail. They spent hours and hours debating what it means to keep the Sabbath. You know, what is work? Is gardening work? Well, it is for me. I don't enjoy it at all. And so I'm not going to garden on Sunday or Saturday or any day if I can help it. But gardening may not be work to you. So should you garden on Sunday? Maybe. Well, these people argued about this. They argued and they argued. Is it work to lift a box on the Sabbath? Well, it depends. How heavy is the box? Are you just lifting it? Putting it back down? Or are you going to carry it someplace? I don't know why you lift it just to lift it. You're probably going to carry it someplace. Is it on top of your kid's leg? Okay, if it is less than 20 pounds, and you can carry it less than 20 feet, then it's okay, it's not work. If it's heavier than that, it had better be cutting off the circulation of someone's foot. Otherwise, God will smite you and your grandkid. That's how they thought about these things. This is real. Jesus was confronted with a teaching similar to this. He's asking his disciples, he is asked why his disciples were breaking the Sabbath. They were breaking the Sabbath law because they were picking wheat. Okay, they were separating the grain from the chaff, and then they were eating the part that they could eat. Now, the eating was okay. You can eat on the Sabbath. But separating the chaff from the wheat so that it could be eaten was work. You could pick wheat up off the ground, that was fine. But picking wheat off of the stalk was work. And so you could, if you wanted to eat, find the wheat that had already been opened up on the ground, pick that up and eat it. But you couldn't do any of the work to make that happen. Sounds kind of ridiculous, doesn't it? How could these teachers of the law nitpick like that? They're just trying to eat. But in their mind, this was a deeper thing. This was about faithfulness. And any relaxation in the law can mean chaos. If you can partially follow the commandments, then does that mean that you can steal your neighbor's lawn furniture? I mean, it's just sitting out there in the yard, just like waiting for someone to take it. You didn't go into their house, right? Okay, so that isn't right. But what about their Wi-Fi? Is it a bad sign if I sign on to their network? Especially if it's open? I mean, it's not hurting anyone. They're not paying any extra for it. That's okay, right? But what happens if we use that logic on a different commandment? I mean, do not kill. What does it mean to kill? It means to end life, right? To stop a heartbeat, to end someone's life. No pulse, no life. And so that means that it's okay to take a finger, right? Just chop it right off there. It isn't fatal. It's only a flesh wound. It adheres to the letter of the law, but it's clearly not right. It violates the well-being of the person, and the well-being is the point of these laws, right? So what are we to do? Well, lucky for us, Jesus addressed this. He told those law teachers that the Sabbath was intended for humans, not for the law. Humans were given the gift of the Sabbath so that they could rest, so that they could renew, so that they could show some love to God. It wasn't about being afraid of breaking a rule and ruining the life of your grandchild. It was about spending time in relationship. And Jesus also told us that if we wanted to do what God wanted of us in these commandments, then we're to think of it this way. Okay? Rule 1. love God. Rule 2, love people. Simple and complex. Simple because when love is the motivator, then our end goal will always be the relationship that we have with God and with each other. We won't take the lawn furniture because it will hurt the relationship with our neighbor. Simple, right? Complex because we don't always agree what love is. Love could be getting rid of that furniture because that furniture is an eyesore. It's affecting the value of my house and everybody's house around us, right? Land values are dropping because of this hideous stuff. And so if I get rid of it, it would be a gift for everybody. And this causes us to have trouble understanding each other, right? Those of us who think that rules are meant to be followed no matter what, don't understand those of us that think that the rules are there for people to get along with each other, and that if the rule hinders the relationship, then you should just ignore the rule. They're different approaches to the same problem. So what does it mean to love in each way? If I own property that includes a river and the law says that I can do what I want on my property, then I can dam up that river, right? I can divert the river so that I can use the water in whichever way I see fit. That's okay, right? But what about the people downriver that also need the water? So let's create a new law that guides us in that. You own the land, but not the river. I think that this difference in approach to the rules is one of the reasons that we have such a hard time understanding each other. I think that the rule, if I think the rule is most important, then I don't understand why people would break the rule. And if I think that the relationship is most important, then I don't understand why the rule is even necessary. So what is the rule? And what is the right thing to do? Two different approaches. Jesus tells us that our motivation with each other should be our love for each other. And this actually works for both groups. Those that think that rules are there to protect and guide us want the rules to be developed with love as the goal. And those that think that love should be the most important thing want the rules followed as long as love is the goal. In each case, what's the goal? Love. Love is the goal. And so whether you drive 70 or you drive 75, Jesus calls us to see others with love. Following the commandments without love may help maintain peace, but it doesn't really give life. That's not the point. Generosity of spirit is the reason for the commandments. Love is the reason for the commandments. Life-giving, thriving communities that love God and love each other is the reason for the commandments. That's why they can be summed up in the two. Love God. Love neighbor. For love's sake. Would you pray with me? God, we know that it's important that we love you and that we love each other, and so those rules that help us to do that are important. And so no matter what motivates us, if we're motivated by the rule of law or if we're motivated by the relationship with each other, help us to be generous in spirit with the other person. Help us to love and to see love in others. Help us to always witness the presence of Christ in everyone that we meet. May that be the motivation for what we do. In your name we pray.